Testing. This is the Father and Son podcast. This is going to be a test run to see how the sound is and how everything works. So, on the first podcast episode, we're going to talk about the Cowboys schedule for 2024. And we're not going to do the preseason games because obviously that doesn't count.
That's right. We kick off season week 1, Sunday, September 8th.
So the first game is going to be the Cowboys are going to take on the Browns week 1. That's a 3 o'clock primetime game. That's also the first game for Tom Brady in his broadcasting debut. Him and Kevin Burkhardt. They're the new primetime team. So this is the first game of the year for the Cowboys on the road. I think that Deshaun Watson, I believe, is healthy, so he's going to be playing. I have no hope for the Cowboys this year. I don't have it. I do not see. Again, we talked about this before. They didn't do anything in the offseason. To me, they didn't get better. And I think the best thing teams can do from year over is to try to fix where their weak spots were and try to plug those holes. I felt like the Eagles did that this year. I felt like the Commanders did that this year. And the Giants, I think, are going to be probably the worst team in the division because they just don't have really any pieces. So for me, for the Cowboys, I think for this first game, it being on the road, if it was at home, I would feel a little different. But I think, and that Browns defense is probably one of the best defenses in the league, or at least they were last year. So
based on one player that they have on their defense, Myles Garrett, if he's healthy and he's there, he'll present a problem for my quarterback.
Oh man, what Myles Garrett is going to do to Dak?
Dak is going to be all over the place in the backfield if he has no protection, which is why running the football is going to be very, very important in this game.
And they won't be able to run it because, again, like I asked you before, you can't really name the depth chart that the Cowboys have in the running back position.
Well,
you can't name
go by names anyway. I mean, you got to go by the player on the field.
Who is going to be the starting running back for the Cowboys?
I think Zeke will be one of the most bounce back players this season. I think he's going to be like a comeback player of the year type of guy. I think it starts in Cleveland, running behind. Don't get me wrong. A very questionable offensive line. I think one of our guys is retired.
Right.
We have a couple that's not really 100% healthy to my knowledge. I have to look into that. So there's a lot of factors that's going to key into the running game. It's not just going to be about who our guy is.
But you also
carrying the rock.
The best guy you had was who? Tyron Smith, and he's not there anymore.
That's what I said.
So, and who else? I can't really...
Keep in mind, I said questionable. I didn't say he was going to run over anybody.
But he was the anchor of that offensive line. And like you said, you have him going to I believe the Dolphins.
Listen,
then you lose a guy to retirement.
We're now dealing with a step-up league. But guys got to step up. You can't just hang your head. You can't just put your head down because the guy's gone. Clearly, Giants don't have Barkley. But they got to move on and they got a season to play.
But that's why they're going to be last in this division.
Exactly.
They just don't have anything.
Well, they don't have. There's a lot of things they don't have. And Daniel Jones' last check is not going to get over that.
Well, I love Danny Dimes, but
hey man, when he has time to throw the football, he's pretty good.
His problems are he's indecisive and then he turns the ball over too much, fumbles the ball.
If Deshaun Watson has a very focused offseason, which I would have to look into, of course, and he's healthy and he shows up at all of the PTO, two-a-days, and he's all in. If he's all dialed in and he shows up week 1 looking like the Deshaun Watson I know him to be, then yeah, it could be a very long week 1 game at 3:25 p.m. But
listen, you got to think about this.
It's about matchups, and I think we're going to have the right matchups to keep Garrett at least at bay. Is he going to have some? Is he going to present problems? Of course.
I love Lyle Collins. He's a former alum, of course. But and who's that guy I got last year? That y'all drafted in the first round, I believe. And everybody thought he was going to be okay, but I guess he was okay this year.
Wasn't bad. He wasn't. I could name a couple people that was worse than him.
I don't see. I just think that defense. If we're just comparing the Cowboys' offense to their defense, obviously we don't know anything. We're just guessing. But I feel like, again, that offensive line, it'll be fine. I don't think it's just going to crumble. But I think that Myles Garrett, and I forget some of the other guys they have, but he last year could have been, probably top
easily
2 or 3 in MVP. He was really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's probably a top. You could probably say he's a top 10 player in the league right now.
I'm not going to bash somebody that doesn't deserve it. I bash players and teams that rightfully deserve it. He doesn't deserve to be bashed because he could have easily walked away with Defensive Player of the Year. Hands down last year, he ran amok on teams that not just, garbage teams. He was getting after the big-time quarterbacks. So, at the end of the day, it's about matchups. If you gotta present, you gotta put something in front of him. If we can't protect Dak Prescott, it's gonna be more than just than Myles Garrett. It's gonna be other people on that D line. There's gonna be other people that's gonna get their chances because I'm scared of the fact that we're gonna be all focused on that one guy, and rightfully so. So it's gonna come down to being smart on offense. I think if Garrett, and of course it depends on what the Browns are going to do defensively with Garrett. They're not just going to send him after the quarterback, which that's pretty much what almost got him Defensive Player of the Year because he was just flat out he was just getting back there and going to get dudes. If that happens and our tight end game seems to be subpar, not bad, not great, but not bad, it could present some openings for the tight end game because Gary's going to have to learn how to backpedal and do some covering as well, but we have to put him in that situation. If he comes straight for that and nobody's around to even try to contend with that, then yeah, I'm pretty nervous for my because like you said, listen, people think about names and team names and they're going to Cleveland. Well, Browns is just they're Cleveland. No, this is not your grandfather and your grandmother's Cleveland Browns. These people, for some reason, over the course of maybe 5 years, have started to develop an identity. One of those main identities is defense. They keep a solid secondary, and they keep Myles Garrett honest at his position to do what he does best, and that's to go get your quarterback. And he's done a ultimately good job of that this past season, which I don't know. I feel like he was kind of snug for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, the man was healthy throughout the course of the season while he was putting his hands on the team's quarterback. So it's gonna be an uphill battle. I don't look for the running game. I don't think our running back, whoever that guy will be starting going into Cleveland, whether it's Zeke or whoever the guy is underneath Zeke, I'm not going to sit up here and predict that we rush for over 100 and something yards. You can't. That's just not going to happen. It's going to be one thing's for sure. If they're smart, me personally, I would like to see them just run between the tackles against Cleveland. That'll kind of keep Myles Garrett kind of on the inside. When he gets on the edge, it's game over. I don't care who your running back is. It could be Zeke. It could be Barkley. It could be any of these running backs out there. When he gets on the edge, I've never seen a guy at his size and weight move with the athleticism and the speed that he brings to the table. That's a big dude running like a locomotive train coming off that edge, and he presents problems on the outside. So I would like to see them do some pounding in between the tackles, kind of mix up the run game to just keep Myles Garrett, but most importantly, Dak has to know where Myles Garrett is on the field pre-snap every time. He has to know where he's at, and Dak so that way Dak can make the necessary adjustments to move forward with being successful, executing plays and moving the chains. Because man, I'm gonna tell you what I noticed about Myles Garrett last season was that third downs was almost impossible when he was on the field. It was hard to move the chains because he made a lot of third down plays. It wasn't just first and second; it was third down plays that he was putting that offense back on the field solely by himself. You got to see somebody like that come in the following season. If not, it's gonna be a long time.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree with nothing you said there pretty much. It's just that for me, if we're just breaking it down by position to position, again,
well, you have
Myles Garrett is the guy, but also you have Denzel Ward and a bunch of other guys in that defense that, again, they shut down most of the teams that they played this year. The problem really for the Browns was their inconsistency at offense, being the fact that Watson, he looked like he wasn't,
well, because
fully
Watson
back.
didn't really play a full season. He was off and on. Sometimes you saw him on the field, sometimes you didn't, which is why in the Browns case, it's just as important as Myles Garrett being there on defense. If Myles Garrett shows up 100% ready to play, focused like he did last season, he could very well pick up where he left off, and it'll be almost hard to snub him this season if he has anything close to being having the season that he had last season. Watson has to be the same thing on the offensive side. He has to play consistently. He has to know the offense. He has to. What made him so dangerous in Houston before he got injured was that he was consistent and he started to pick up that offense. With the off-field stuff that he had to deal with, and that he wasn't on the field, he wasn't with the team, he wasn't practicing. He was still going in and out of courtrooms in the middle of the Browns getting him. So it's not like the Browns got him and then bang, he showed straight up on the practice facility for the team, ready to learn this, that, and the other. He kind of fitted him in and then started giving him some playing times. I just think it's going to be different this time around because now the distractions are gone. He's, fair to say he's done with the off-field antics and stuff that he's had, the personal stuff that he had to deal with. This is a full-time off-season for him as a Cleveland Brown, which should make him very dangerous going into this season. It's just sad to say that we have to be the first team to see that. But it is what it is. I'll say this again, if Deshaun Watson is 100% keyed in, focused, developing chemistry with that wide receiving core, which we need to talk about next, because you got to give me who his weapons are as well, because it ain't gonna just he can't do it by himself. Who is their running back? Stuff like that. So again, it starts with, of course, the quarterback, the most important position in football. He has to be dialed in 100%. He has to be there at the training camps. He has to show up to maybe get a snap or two in week one of preseason and then take him out just to get his legs underneath him and get him going. If all of those things fall into place and he shows up September 8th, 100% ready to roll.
Okay, so
it's gonna be interesting.
Okay, so we're still on the first game, so I'm going to list off some of the key players for the Browns offensively and defensively, and then I'll switch over to the Cowboys. So that way, I'll do it this one time, and then as we go into the other games, I won't have to do it for them. But I want people to kind of get familiar with some of these names for these other teams. Like I said, I'll do it once for the Cowboys since we're going to scroll through their whole schedule. But I'll do it for the other teams as we go on, just to kind of get a feel for some of these matchups. Deshaun Watson, as it stands, if he's healthy, which he's still questionable right now,
Exactly.
if he's healthy, their backup is Jameis Winston. So I mean, you know, just you never know what you're gonna get with this guy.
Listen,
He will let it loose, but you just never know. Running back wise, Chubb again got hurt. He had that horrific injury last year.
he did.
So hopefully they will have him because
If they
he
do
loves
have
playing
him,
the Cowboys.
How will he be? How will he be coming after injury? You know, especially at that position.
So they have some questionables at quarterback and running back. But again, they had, as far as the running back room they have, you got Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, and you have Hines. So they have guys who can make plays as well, other than their starters. So, and they did well by committee last year after he got hurt. So.
Give me that wide receiver core, please.
As far as their wide receivers go, I mean, I'm liking and tight ends. I mean, it's pretty solid. You got Cooper, who was formerly of the Cowboys, so I'm sure he's going to want to have a big day.
I actually forgot.
You got Jerry Jeudy, who they got from the Broncos, who can be a deep threat. He's had some consistency issues, but a deep threat. He's also been in trouble.
He had a struggling Russell Wilson. You know what I mean?
No, I don't, because at the end of the day, he's had issues off the field, and again, it's miscommunication by both of them, and again, it just didn't look like he was putting in a lot of effort on a lot of plays.
Listen, man, it's a lot of pressure playing underneath the Sean Payton-led offense. You of all should know that.
Well, hey, you're on a less complicated.
Wasn't Drew Brees, so
you're on a less complicated offense now, so it shouldn't. I want to see more effort out of him because I've seen him when he's on top of his game.
Well, he's got to change the scenery. I don't see why he can't be successful. I mean,
off the field issues.
You got Cooper that's going to drag some of the attention. It's going to be that'll be. Look, our secondary last I checked isn't it's pretty good. Last I checked, pretty good.
We'll get to
and
them.
You know that.
We'll get to them. But and then there's your third option. You have Elijah Moore, who was really, really good last year.
Surprise!
He turned a lot of heads last year. But again, he's along with that group, that Ole Miss group with Metcalf and AJ Brown. They were all kind of, not the same time, but they were all kind of in that group that Ole Miss had. Again, he was really good last year for the yeah, I think so. But yeah, he had 640 yards, I believe 2 touchdowns. So, a great start to his career. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But no, that as a 1-2-3 combination, they have some pretty good backups, but as far as those three, and then you still have Njoku, who was
solid. I tell you what, I like Njoku. I forgot about that guy.
So they have a four piece. If you get a healthy Chubb and a healthy Watson, that is they made the playoffs last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
Without a healthy Watson, who didn't play.
He didn't play it up.
So they were able to scrap together enough because they were good enough with him because that defense was so good. You remember they were one of the only teams. Before the 49ers went on that slide they had last year, the Browns were the first team to really put them on that slide when they beat them at home last year. So this is a team that, again, they're going to rely mostly on their defense this year, I presume, until they can get Chubb healthy, they can get Watson healthy. Their line looks actually pretty stacked. It's a pretty good offensive line. So I think they will be just fine on that end. So they're going to have time to make plays and get guys open. So offensively, they like I said, if they can just stay moderately healthy, they're going to be fine. Defensively, I mean, man, like I said, we already talked about Myles Garrett. They got on the other side, they got Zadarius Smith. They got Delvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris. These are guys that, again, they were on the squad last year, so they come back with these pieces. And then you got Devin Bush, Jordan Hicks, Denzel Ward. You got Grant Delpit, a former Tiger. You got Greg Newsome, who was one of the better backfield guys last year as well. So again, they're pretty much defensively, they got the same squad. And that like I said, that defense was probably top 5 last year. I think they were number 1 in points allowed, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, you come back with the same pieces. Everybody is healthy for the most part. So as far as this let me do the Cowboys first, so we can get this chart down. So for the Cowboys, again, quarterback, we know who they have in Dak. I mean, he is who he is at this point. He's been there for.
You're not going to see anything different from him at this point.
He's been there for a while. I mean, he's a good.
He's not going to pop up and show you something that you have not seen the past 5 years that he's been.
He is who he is.
He is who he is.
You know.
You're right about that.
I believe he's a franchise quarterback. No question about it. Can he take you to the promised land? We haven't seen anything for me to believe that. But again, he is who he is. This running back core is really scary in a bad way, because it might be the worst running back room in the league, to be quite honest with you.
I won't go that far.
Zeke is done. Sure. Zeke is done. I just don't.
I need to see that.
This is called a reunion. This is called a reunion. Come back to the Cowboys so he can retire as a Cowboy. That's what this is. There's no way he's gonna. I mean, I can't say there's no way he's gonna start, because the back Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn. I love Deuce Vaughn, man. He was great at Kansas State, but he's too small.
Too small.
Rico Dowdle,
outside runner.
Dowdle is fine, but he doesn't do anything to make me go, ooh, he should be number 1. And then in the back of the back, you have the guy Royce Freeman from Oregon, who I actually really like. So
let me
hopefully,
tell you something. I will say this. I gotta say this. Preseason, they have 3 weeks of preseason to really figure out that backfield. Because I'm listening to what you're saying. You gotta understand something. Outside of Vaughn, Dowdle didn't get a solid shot because of what they tried to do with Pollard. And I didn't agree with nothing they tried to do with Tony Pollard. I just think I didn't like the game plan last season. I didn't understand why they treated him like a downhill between the tackles, north and south back. You got to get guys like him on the outside. Same thing with Vaughn, based on his size. Like you said, you got to get Vaughn on the outside. You got to get him in some open space. He's a make-you-miss guy.
Looking at this, I mean, again, he only had 89. Well, he only had 96 carries for 385 yards. Again, not in 2 touchdowns, nothing crazy. And he only played in 5 games, including the playoff game where they got ran over.
Exactly.
So
there was really no production.
He didn't really, and he also had some receiving yards as well. So nothing too crazy. So he, again, didn't get much opportunity.
I think his opportunity is here. I just like to see it. I think.
So it has to be, because Zeke is not gonna start.
Again, I said I'd like to see him start, and just based on the fact that he's been around these guys, mainly Dak. They're real close. They know each other's tendencies and stuff. Based off of that,
the last time we saw, and that's fine. But the last time we saw this, the year before,
like to see the guy from Oregon.
Just looked like he just was not. Well, he doesn't have, and that's not all.
Is he in?
That's not all him. That's just age and other things. But he's not the same guy.
He didn't take care of his body.
He could be a bulldozer. He could be a guy you put in, or as I like to call, a bruiser.
I'd like to see him.
But that's what he has to be.
The guy from Oregon do a two-headed monster type deal, or that's why I said preseason's going to be interesting.
They need to develop him to be the guy, Freeman. I think he can be the guy. Zeke has to become what I've always said the Saints need, that we haven't had, and that's a bruiser. The teams that do well have themselves a bruiser. The Bengals have had they had their 2-back system with Mixon being a slasher, and then my other guy, I forget his dang name, who's on the Broncos now, but you have to have it.
Yeah, but it also has to fit your scheme, your offensive scheme. The Saints' offensive scheme over the past 10 years has been spread out. Has been speed. It's been all about speed, which is why. How long did Adrian Peterson last when he was a Saint? It just didn't work with the offense.
That was a memorial 1
Yeah,
year.
but it just didn't work. It just didn't look
it was
right.
never. It was never gonna work because he was past his prime.
It's just
That's a problem with a lot of teams. Is we get a lot of these guys who we love. They've had a great career. We try to sign them to these 1-2 year contracts. They're not. When that happened, I didn't go yay. I just went, oh.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, at least go back to the team that you originated from, which is why I don't have a problem with the Zeke situation. I have a problem with.
I don't have a problem with it either.
How do you look? How did you take care of your body? Are you coming back chunky?
He should not be. Week 1, when you're going on the road, he is a guy that, number one, he's a goal line every time. He should be goal line.
At this juncture, yeah, why not?
Pounded in.
Yeah, why? In fact, I'll go as far to say he could be a third down guy.
Short.
Nothing wrong with that.
3 yards or less, go get the first down, lean forward. He still has that, I believe.
That's what Marion the Barbarian was when he was our running back. He was a third down, move the chain guy.
That's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need him to do that.
Absolutely,
and then, like you said, you have
Preseason,
a guy.
What's that guy from Oregon again?
Freeman. Again, he's a guy that I think could be. He could start week 1.
I want to see him. That's all.
We're gonna find out in preseason.
Give him some touches in preseason.
What he can do. He's probably gonna take most of the snaps. I believe.
I think him and Dowdle.
Vaughn is not. I
love
that little man, but he's just
not.
Vaughn.
Vaughn is a good screen guy. Get him in the open.
And that's what you need him for.
But I think preseason, the running back situation is going to be between Dowdle and Freeman.
Yeah. So again, it's workable.
You
but
got
since
how are you going to utilize it?
Yeah.
You can't just sit up there and say, well, I mean, you like 1 out of the 4.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a professional Cowboy hater, so I can't just sit up here.
It was good to know you said that here on the podcast.
No, I have
let the people know. You kept it 100.
I have to keep it honest with the people. See, what we're not going to do on this podcast is lie.
Okay.
We're going to keep it, as the kids say, keep it 100.
Yeah,
so I am a hater, but I can also break down stuff. See, that's the difference between like just people who are just hating. They're just gonna troll the whole time. I can do that, but also breaking it down. I don't see it this year, running back wise. But anyway, let's move on. Wide receiver wise, I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb, who is the number 1 to me. Brandon Cooks, I don't think he got a lot of opportunities last year. I don't know if that was just connection with him and Dak. I don't know.
That was him for not being able to provide any kind of.
Or he just doesn't have that speed that he used to have when he was on the Saints or when he was on the Patriots. He don't have that.
He didn't hang around New Orleans long enough. I think they did an injustice. I think they should have kept. I had a problem with him leaving New Orleans. To be honest,
no, that was his best. That was his best spot out of all the teams he's been on. But that's usually most people that come out. They have,
Yeah, they just don't hang around them.
They have their best moments. But, I'm not really a contract money guy, so I don't know how all that stuff happens.
It is politics, man.
But
it's not always
him and Drew, they had, because, again, they're both short. They both have that kind of wherewithal around as far as the field goes.
It's one thing about Brandon
him
Cooks.
And Dak, I mean, Dak likes to move around. That's where he's best at. In the pocket, he just doesn't. It doesn't work for him. He's got to get out. He's got to move around and create. That's what he does best. So I don't know. It just hasn't worked. But again, you got Lamb, Tolbert. I
haven't seen enough of Tolbert for me to even speak on him.
He didn't. Let's see. Like I said, he didn't do much. 24 off of 39 targets, 280, 2 touchdowns.
But how many games did he play? If you're telling me he played the entire season and that's his stats, then that's garbage.
But again, he didn't really get any opportunities. So it's kind of I can't judge a person off of 24 catches off of 39. That's a pretty decent rate. 280 and 2 touchdowns. That you're not really getting opportunities. But again, the offense was centered around
the run game.
But CeeDee Lamb is the guy. So a lot of those stats will be underappreciated just because Lamb's,
But again, my thing is,
Lamb's stuff
we weren't consistent enough in the run game to open up those type of possibilities to spread that ball around. So, you said, the running game wasn't where it needs to be at. I'm helping you with your argument. I'm not even going against you.
Yeah, you can't. But
he didn't open up that. You and I both know the running game opens up things like play action pass, run play option, yada yada yada. If you're only averaging 2.5, maybe 3 yards in the backfield, it's gonna be hard for any receiver. I don't care who they are. It's gonna be hard for them to even be productive.
He did well. I mean, 135 receptions, over 181, 1749, 12 touchdowns. I mean, so he did. He's a number one to me. There's people who are trying to say he wasn't.
What are you talking about?
Lamb.
No, I love Lamb. I'm not against that.
Clearly number one.
That's why they haven't talked about him getting his money now.
But no,
for that reason.
Without him on that team last year, I don't think
they don't even make the playoffs.
Their offense is more abundant.
They don't even make the playoffs if he didn't do what he did. So.
But other than that, I mean, as far as guys behind you, Turpin was a lightning rod last year. I mean, special teams, he was great. He made some plays on offense. So if you can develop him out the backfield, screen passes, special teams, stuff like that, he can be a weapon, much like Shaheed is for the Saints, where he's just he can do special teams, and he can also be a lightning rod down the field, which is something Dak really needs, because he's the only guy on this roster that to me is one of those type of guys.
Shaheed is taller than is slightly.
And he might be a little faster.
And he's faster. Well, no, I ain't gonna go that far.
No, he is fast. I believe he is faster. I think he registered. Shaheed did probably one of the fastest times last year.
He could do more in the deep game than
they're both speedy, so it's not that big of a difference. But you also, I'm always gonna have to shout out my Tiger guys. I don't care which team they're on. Racy McMath, receiver back there. He is a rangy, lengthy guy. Not too much speed. He was on the roster last year. A couple catches here and there. Hopefully, I would like to see him break out.
See him in the slot game then with that physical presence.
6'3", 217. He's
a guy. That's got middle of the field written all over.
He's a guy that, like I said, he got outshined because, again, he was on a roster with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Kyron Lacey,
Randy Moss's son,
Thaddeus Moss, Mason Smith. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There was just,
you got all that in front of you. It's gonna be hard to produce anything.
He wasn't bad. He just, again, the roster was stacked.
That's what I said. He had too many monsters.
But that's also the case with most of the LSU, or a lot of my receivers that I see in the league now, where they're pretty good now. It's just that, again, the rosters that they were on were so stacked that you get those hidden gems. So that's why I'm saying that, because he could be a guy that, again, he played last year, got a couple catches here and there. CeeDee Lamb is the clear number one. You need a number two. I don't think Cooks is going to be that guy for me. Tolbert, again, I didn't see anything last year, so Turpin's not really that type of guy.
They're going to keep Cooks at number two until Tolbert.
Oh, of course.
And them can show.
I'm just talking about how I'm looking at it. But I would like to see him. I would like to see him because he's on the Cowboys, of course. But I would like to see him get some touches. And of course, we'll see him in the preseason. So I would like to see them do something with that frame, that 6'3" frame. Tight ends. I mean, they had some pretty good. Ferguson was good. Shoemaker, Hendershot, they were pretty good. I didn't really have any problem with them. I thought Ferguson. I mean, these Wisconsin tight ends, man. That's where they get these guys. They're a tight end factory up there in the north. I liked Ferguson last year. I just want to see more. A little more development from him. And the other two guys are pretty solid. So I didn't really have any problem with the tight end section. I think they have a pretty good.
We have a good 1-2
tight end.
Like,
but again, lineman wise, you got Tyler Guyton, you got Tyler Smith, Zach Martin, Brock Hoffman, and Terrence Steele. Zach Martin's still one of the best. Tyler Smith was the guy that they got from Tulsa, who was solid. A lot of people thought he was going to be a problem. I thought he was going to be okay. He just had a lot of aggressiveness and penalty issues. I thought he was fine. Guyton from, I believe he's from Oklahoma. Nice draft pick, plug-in guy. And then I'm not familiar with the Hoffman guy, the center.
Not that much.
But he's been, but y'all had somebody at the center last year, I believe. So that's a replacement. And the Cooper Beebe, who's the back, looks like he's going to be behind him or fighting for that spot from Kansas State. I'm excited to see what he can do. And then, of course, like I said, Zach Martin, a staple, really the only staple on this entire line right now. And then you have Terrence Steele, who was, he was fine. But again, we'll see. So it's a makeshift offensive line. Again, we know about Tyler Smith and Guyton. We don't know too much about Steele just yet, just because he was really a replacement last year too. And Zach Martin is the only staple on that offensive line. So, which will give me worry because, again, Dak's going to need a little bit of protection just trying to get to some of these guys, other than Lamb, of course. Defensively, we kind of get it's pretty much the same guys. If Diggs is healthy, the defense should be good again. I have no problems with the defense. The only problem I have defensively is when they get to a point to where I don't know. I guess it's just the Packers game that threw me off because I couldn't believe it.
Nobody saw that coming, not even myself.
Nobody. I couldn't even hate that day. I was just silent. I just watched the game because I had no words. I couldn't believe it. But other than that, this defense is fine. Rush defense has been suspect the last couple of years. And that's mostly because they know how to. A lot of teams know what to do with Parsons and just kind of go straight at him. The Bills did it. The Eagles have done it multiple times. Where they just kind of go at him and make him kind of try to get around. Because when he gets a head full of steam, there's not really too many people who can stop him. But I think a lot of teams have kind of smartened up on Parsons from that aspect. So, anyway, we're going to get through this first game because we've been on it for 3 years. It's a hard game, to be quite honest with you. I don't, because like I said, we don't know. I don't know about Chubb. I don't know about Watson.
I will say this to end this on my final take.
You don't just go to Cleveland thinking you can beat the Browns anymore. You just cannot go up there with that mentality. You got to go up there and treat them like they're a playoff team now. You cannot just go to Cleveland thinking that it's going to be a walk in the park. Because it's not going to be a walk in the park by any stretch of the imagination overall. It's going to be a battle. And that battle is going to take place at the trenches and on a line of scrimmage, first and foremost before anything. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's just going to happen. Beat your man in front of you, across from you. There's a lot of that's going to take place out in Cleveland at 3:30 come week 1.
And I think at the end of the day, final verdict, I think the Browns are going to win. I think they're going to win 17-14, low-scoring game. I just think the defense, I think if Lamb can't get open, I just don't see anybody else being able to make plays. I think this defensive line of the Browns is going to terrorize that offensive line.
20-13.
I think the Cowboys' tight ends is gonna make more of an impact in this matchup. Because basically off of what you said, I think one thing Dak is pretty good at is utilizing those tight ends, and I feel like he's gonna have to do that, and I think they will because Lamb is just not gonna be there to be able to execute downfield like he wants to because of that defense, and mainly because Garrett is going to provide that kind of pressure. He's going to disrupt some timing, and I just think he's going to go with short passes. There's going to be a lot of dink and dack up the field to give Cleveland some problems, and I give him 20-13.
Yeah, well, I get that sharp analysis, but 17-14. Browns will win. Again, low scoring game. These teams won't be going up and down the field too much. It'll be, if you like defense, this will be the game for you because both these defenses are top 10 in my opinion.
There's going to be some
or top 5
on both sides of the ball.
I just feel like really because the Browns are at home, first game of the year, I think they're going to come out.
It's going to be,
and I think they'll get the win. And again, for me, for the Cowboys, once they go on the road, they just, especially against a good team, they do not seem to function well, offensively at least. So I think I'll take the Browns. Moving on to week 2. I mean, this is really what it's all about here, folks. This is what it's all about. We're only on game 2, so we're going to speed it up a little bit. But obviously, I'm a Saints fan. My dad here is a Cowboys fan. It's a tragedy, but
well, if you're picking the Browns to beat us, I can't see you picking us to beat y'all.
Listen.
Go ahead and go for it.
A year ago, I really could say the Cowboys I thought would win this game, probably going away. But the more I look at my team's depth chart, and I start thinking about who we have and who we got rid of Michael Thomas, which, hey, appreciate you, sir. Appreciate your service, but you just kept getting hurt, man.
You gave him the can't be stopped nickname, so
no, he can't be stopped. He just stopped himself.
Exactly.
So that was the only problem I had with him. But I mean, hey, we can't. You can't just keep paying a guy that's not going to be on the field. So,
I agree.
For me, Derek Carr. I thought last year that it was pretty visible. There was a lot of miscommunication. He's got an arm. He can throw a really good dot. We saw that at times last year where he could just drop a dime on somebody.
I will say this: when he has time to throw the football, he can slice you to pieces. Which
is why I believe in year 2, I think they will have gotten the communication down. They got another year of practice and OTAs and training camp.
They have a different offensive coordinator.
Which is another thing I'm going to get to. This offensive coordinator is a guy that I believe has the mind of kind of those McDaniels and my boy from Kyle Shanahan. I believe he's from that branch. From the Kyle Shanahan branch, from that team. That's where we got him from. I believe he was the offensive analyst or something like that, passing game coordinator, whatever all these titles that they have. And that's another thing that people don't, like I said, not a lot of people talking about the Saints right now, which is fine. I like that, under the radar.
Most teams fly under the radar. That's not talked about. Here they come. So
exactly.
You would want it
this is how it should be. So. But that was the big thing, is we finally got rid of Carmichael. Again, appreciate your service, sir, but, man, it's just – there was no life in the offense. It just looks – we knew the script. The script was in, and there was just no creativity. There was no –
Yeah, you kind of knew what they were going to do before they did it.
Which is why adding this – Clint Kubiak is his name. I believe that's Kubiak's son
yes. Yeah.
So we're gonna get some new life in this offense, and Derek Carr, I believe, will be a lot more excited to be able to spread things around because he's got an arm. He was also not healthy last year. He's had time to rehab and get himself together. But again, you got Alvin Kamara who will be healthy. You got Jamal Williams, who should be a bruiser. Last year, I was very disappointed in his production. Hopefully another year, new system. He will be, and then we got Keandre Miller, who again was hurt most of last year, but once he got on the field, he started to pop. So running back wise, we have a beautiful stable of running backs.
Healthy seems to be the ultimate trend in professional sports. Everything is based off are you healthy or you be on the field. That's anybody.
But that's why we have a 3-piece. And then receiver wise, Chris Olave, who to me is a top 10 receiver right now. Some of the catches he made probably 3 of the top 5 catches last year.
He made Derek Carr look pretty good on a lot of plays.
And we need that.
He bailed him out on. I've seen plenty of times where he bailed Carr out a couple times.
And you need those. You need guys that can do that.
He's gonna make a play on the ball.
Yeah, so, throw it up and go make a play. One-on-one man coverage. He's one of the better receivers in the league.
Lights out.
Route running is impeccable, which You come from Ohio
Ohio
State, that's what you
breeds
get.
that. That's what they teach.
And then you got Rashid Shaheed, who, man, I don't know where we found this dude from, but I mean, had a punt return for touchdown last year. I believe he had a kick return too.
Yeah,
if I'm
two
not mistaken.
bona fide people that can go
Deep threat.
and get the ball.
Speed, deep threat. That was Derek Carr's favorite guy last year. No question about it. So they've got a connection. So you got Chris Olave as the one. You got his favorite target at 2. And then you got a former Cowboy, former Dolphin, and again, another speedy guy, Cedric Wilson Jr. Again, another down the field track star. I don't know why the Dolphins got rid of him, but again, this is a guy who, again, started with the Cowboys. He was okay. We didn't really see much. He went to the Dolphins where they had all that speed and made a lot of big plays. Now he comes over with the Saints, teaming up with Olave and Shaheed. And we've got a lot of speed on this team. It's probably, receiver-wise, this is probably the fastest team we've had ever. Receiver-wise, I don't think we ever had a group collectively of guys with this much speed and downfield ability. And again, you got Kamara who can come out the backfield with those famous screens that we like to do, those pop passes. Wilson can do that as well. So, man, we have got, and then we also got A.T. Perry, who last year as a rookie, again, made some big plays. And then you got Equanimous St. Brown, the brother of Amon-Ra, who just got a big deal with the Lions. So again, I think it's just health. Jawan Johnson, who's banged up right now. And of course we have the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill, who just does everything.
Pretty much.
He can do just about anything we need him to do. So offensively, I think we're fine. It's just, like I said, new system. We're finally going to breathe some new life into this offense with this new coordinator. And I think it'll help guys like Kamara out as well, because we don't need to run him on first down every time we get the ball. Same thing, run on first down. Alvin Kamara. We don't need him to be number 1. We got 2 guys we can plug in there. We need him to do other things. So I think
he's
Clint.
Primary back.
I get it. No, we don't. That's what you got. Jamal Williams. You got Keandre Miller. You got guys who can do that. I want him to be able to do other things. If you run into a defense like the Browns or the Cowboys, and let's just say Olave is getting locked up. You got Shaheed in press, and you got Wilson. You want to have another guy. We got Taysom Hill, of course, but you want to have a guy like Kamara who we can flank out and pick up 5, 6, 7 yards. I think he'll be more happy now than he was under Carmichael, because some of the stuff he was drawing up was just, I didn't get it. I think Clint will probably want to spread us out, which will be, again, if you got Olave on the left, you got Shaheed on the right, you got Wilson somewhere in the middle, and you got I would love to see a back system where they have Kamara and Wilson or Kamara and Williams on the same field. They run some packages with that. So there's a couple different things he can do, man. He's got a lot to work with. But also, before I get off of them, Spencer Rattler, the quarterback from South Carolina. This guy, there was a time where a lot of people thought he could be a Heisman winner. There was also a time where people thought he'd probably be a top 2 or 3 pick. And I thought he was. Well, when he started at Oklahoma, I didn't get the hype because I didn't really see anything.
No.
And I didn't see it at Oklahoma. He was so bad they had to pull him in the Texas game.
It wasn't like when Jalen Hurts left Alabama and went to Oklahoma. This is a different deal with Rattler.
He got replaced.
Right.
And he went to South Carolina and really had a really solid career there. He knocked
most of his highlights, if not all of them, really came out of South Carolina.
He
did on a positive note was literally came from the Gamecocks.
He ruined Tennessee's playoff chances a couple years ago. We've seen him really, when he's focused and he's in rhythm. Again, he's a guy that nobody just kind of.
He's not going to create plays on his own. You got to give him time.
He could. But the problem he had was turnovers. So
right,
if you get a guy like Clint Kubiak, who's going to transform this offense, get this guy developed. Because again, if Derek Carr goes down, as we saw last year, there's quarterbacks, I think half the league had backups in third strings at one point. So we need to have somebody who can come in. And Jake Haener, I love you, buddy, but you're way too small. That frame, they kill you. So we need to get Rattler. I'm really excited to get this preseason going so I can see him move around and see what he can do. Because I really think if Carr does not perform this year, this could be Rattler's chance, and this could be one of those stories, man, where people counted him out. He was at Oklahoma, South Carolina. He was okay.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Then you come to New Orleans, where nobody's expecting you to do things.
He is no Trevor Siemian. That's for damn sure.
No.
He's no Ian Book.
No.
This kid is solid.
He can move.
He's for real.
He can throw on the run. He can run and make plays. So
and he played in the SEC conference, which you gotta listen. You coming out of that conference, man. You're kind of ready for the pro game, the pro aspect of things. You just are. So, and he brings some intangibles to the table.
Which is why I think that we need to. I'm ready to see him. But anyway, I think for this game, 12 o'clock. I really hate they put this game at 12 o'clock. It's really like, what are you doing?
And it's week 2. So
what are you doing?
We're going to get to
this game.
Things out bright and early.
They could have easily switched week 1 to 12 and switched this week 2 to 3. I don't get it. I get it's Tom Brady's first game and all this nonsense, but I mean, come on, man. 12 o'clock is. I got to look at the rest of that schedule for that week.
Yeah, there got to be some key matchups that's going on.
This could have been a Monday Night Football week 2 game.
Well, the Saints and Cowboys
in Dallas.
The last 3 matchups have been primetime matchups: Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night.
And if the Cowboys should win week 1, I mean, we're playing the Panthers, so I have no worries there. Both teams could be 1-0 going into this game. I mean, I have the Browns winning, so they wouldn't. But
Bryce Young ain't hit the weightlifting room this offseason. He don't have a shot.
So this has been a toss-up game to me since I saw the actual schedule.
This could easily be another defensive game. I mean, even with the speed,
very good, very could be. You don't really lose at home, so it's kind of hard. I mean, I'll pick the Cowboys to win. It's probably the first time I picked against my team, but I have to be impartial here. I have to be honest.
No, we're talking football.
At home, like I said, I think we're going to beat the Panthers, but that's not really a barometer for me to be excited going into week 2. So
I'm having a hard time picking
on the road.
That's a lot of speed on the offense.
On the road, like I said, I haven't seen enough consistency.
Do we still have Stephen Gilmore?
No. So again, but the history of this rivalry, especially the last 3 years, it's been. I don't think any team scored more than 20 points. So
one game was 12 to 10 or something.
I expect this game to be not low score. It would be like 24-20 or something like that, because I think both teams have enough to
this time around,
score. But again, this will all depend on Kubiak's offensive plan and how he decides to change this. And week 1 will tell me a lot, even though it's the Panthers. But again, that Panthers defense is not no throwaway defense. They were pretty good last year. They just couldn't score for nothing.
They couldn't score.
So we're gonna find out, and it's a division game, first game of the year. So we're gonna find out really early what his offensive plan is, and that'll give me I reserve the right to change my mind before week 2. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys 24-20, for no other reason other than I need to see how this offense is gonna look. But we'll come back to this. This is just like a preseason pick. We can re-pick before the season starts. We feel kind of different. But moving on to week 3, Ravens at Cowboys is another 3:25 game. This is a precursor because really most of the games on the Cowboys schedule is going to be 3:30 Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night game. So we're going to see a lot of primetime Cowboys. It's just odd that the only game pretty much for the next 6 or 7 weeks that's not primetime is the Cowboys Saints game. But, whatever. Ravens at Cowboys, 3:25, primetime. Pretty sure Brady and the boys will be at this one as well. I was just going to keep it straight up. I got the Ravens winning. I don't even think it's going to be close, to be quite honest with you. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson in the regular season is unstoppable. Postseason has been his only thing holding him back. He practically gave the Chiefs that game.
Handed it to him.
That was probably the worst performance he's ever had.
That's because he was listening to everybody on social media.
I couldn't believe it. But regular season, I mean, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
The man spent $25,000 on his diet to tone up for this season.
I don't see too many people stopping this combination of regular season.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those juggernauts, I think.
I mean, I don't know. Micah better. Listen, man.
No, it's got to be more
get
than
ready,
Micah.
or he's going to be on a highlight reel because
it's going to be more than Micah. That's got to be a
Derrick,
part of this.
Derrick is. I mean, I don't know how to.
The man is an 18-wheeler.
What you have to do with him, and what the Cowboys are going to have to try to do, and I've seen teams do this, really in the postseason, is you've got to really bunch up. You've got to bunch up and crowd that line so that you're able to just kind of swallow him, and you can dive at the legs and kind of get him by the waist where you want to get him at. Because if he gets out and starts coming on the left or the right side, and you're trying to grab at him, there's not really anybody who's going to be able to just physically take him down.
Well, not only that,
so you got to bunch him up.
Now added the hip tackle is out of the question. Now you can't roll hip.
You can't do this thing where you wrap around the hip part and then do a turn thing to bring him down. Now they ruled that tackle out, which is beyond me. But according to the old heads in the conference meeting rooms, that's the reason why most of these guys are getting injured. So now, I mean, just anything below the legs is gonna be. You gotta go. You just gotta hit this man and pray that he stumbles, and then the rest. And then I don't know. It's the way they're making tackling in today's National Football League now is basically set up for Derrick Henry to literally run through, over, and around people. Not like he hasn't been doing it anyway. He's been doing it since he was in Tennessee. But now that they added in this new hip roll tackle being out of the question, you got to ask yourself, well, how do we even make an attempt to bring a guy like Derrick Henry down?
And of course, again, it's not just Derrick. It's you now have to watch out for Lamar and him on option plays and flip RPOs, things of that nature. Again, Derrick Henry can line up from the shotgun position and just go that way. Hell, he could flip it to Lamar Jackson if he wanted to. So they've got so much stuff that Harbaugh and
you'd be looking at wildcat situations, man.
Goal line spots. Third and goal. Derrick Henry at quarterback. I mean, it's
there's going to be packages that's going to make it just really scratch your head.
Yeah.
And nervous.
So I like this game. I like the Ravens here. They're like 35-10 almost, because that defense of the Ravens is pretty good as well, and they're pretty good for the most part in that Chiefs game. That second half, I believe the Chiefs scored no points, but Lamar Jackson and company just could not do anything. So I believe in this defense and the plan. The Ravens defense is always good and physical. I think this is one of those situations where I think this game gets out of hand early, and it just kind of stays where it's at. I think they're clearly a better team. We all know the Cowboys' track record against good teams is not very good at all. So I think this is one of those games where kind of like the 49ers games have been the last couple of years. They play them early. This is one of those games where we come back talking Monday about is Dak the guy and all that whatnot. I got the Ravens winning that. The next game is a Thursday night game against Giants. Let's not even take any time on this. Cowboys, I probably have them winning.
Now I will say this:
38-13. Simple.
I don't get the Thursday night prime time against a team that's not going absolutely anywhere. I would love. They could have swapped that out for the week 2 game. Put Saints and Cowboys on Thursday night on my birthday.
It's Cowboys Giants. I mean, it's going to get the big ratings, of course.
This I will say.
Rivalry
I'm
game.
happy to say that we're not seeing them in week 1. I think the past 3 seasons we had to play these people to kick off the season. For once, I'm happy to see some change in that. I mean, I'm not excited about going to Cleveland, but it is Cleveland to kick off week 1 instead of the Giants. So that's a good one. But Thursday night football?
Again, rivalry game, Cowboys, Giants. We know it's going to get one of the bigger ratings of the year. It's just part of business at this point, so it is what it is. But there'll be college football games on this Thursday, on that day, so we'll probably be flipping back to that because this game will be over quick. 38-13, pretty simple. Next, so they go from Thursday night to next Sunday night, so they will have an extra 3 days to prepare for a Sunday night game on the road, second straight road game against the Steelers. This is a rivalry game that goes back to before I was born, of course. The last couple of times these two teams have played that I remember when the Steelers came to Dallas when they were, I believe they were undefeated that year. And nobody really believed in them because they didn't look, I guess, like an undefeated team. And the Cowboys almost had that game and they lost it. I remember when they went to Pittsburgh, and I believe the Cowboys won
prime Zeke, yes,
on a run, I believe. And then I believe the one before that when they went there, or was that, it might have been the same game where Ben did the fake spike, threw in the end zone. Yeah,
it might be the same.
That might have been the same game. But those are the last 2 games I remember. Again, this game is going to be tough. Russell Wilson and or Justin Fields will be starting this game by this point because it'll be
look out for them during
5 games in.
Because they're going to battle it out for 3 weeks.
Quite personally, I don't think Justin Fields I don't think he was bad. He just was on the Bears. I mean, there's really not much else to say with that. But
yeah, he had no weapons.
Mike Tomlin, again, people can say what they want about Mike Tomlin. Number one, he's never going to get fired. The only way that he will not be on the Steelers is if he decides to leave. When he decides to put his coaching talents down, I think he's going to retire there. That organization has been good to him.
The Rooney family.
They're
real loyal.
They have allowed him to a long leash. He won a Super Bowl, got to a Super Bowl. Leave the man alone. He's never had a losing record. I mean, business-wise, what more do you want? Winning records every year. More times than not, you're going to be in the playoffs. You've been to a couple Super Bowls. You have a trophy. Much like a Sean Payton, same kind of deal. What do you want? What do you want from him? I mean, obviously you want more championships, but, I mean, at the end of the day, there's only one Super Bowl every year. So you do your best with what you have. At the end of the day, the players, I always tell people, the players have to play. You know, he can coach them up, he can get them ready, he can do all that, but at the end of the day, the players on the field have to win these games. So the whole Mike Tomlin stuff that people were going through last year, they got to get over themselves. He's a great coach, one of the greatest coaches probably in the NFL, in NFL history, especially the last couple of years. But he's done with this team. He's gotten them in the playoffs twice with teams that were really banged up and not good, with no quarterback. No quarterback. So, and this year they've got 2 of them. So one of these guys is going to get it, or he may decide to go with the 2 quarterback system. So, which I think he will, because again, one of these guys, hopefully, you don't wish on that, but one of them can get hurt, or you just want to see what another guy has. So, and weapons-wise, they did actually make some moves this off season, and I believe they have my guy from the Ravens, Patrick Queen, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, Mr. Queen, national championship himself,
who was a staple on that Ravens defense.
He was a staple on the LSU Tigers defense.
So, so they have Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson. You got Ogunjobi now. You still have Cam Hayward. You still have T.J. Watt. I mean, you still have Alex Highsmith, Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. You got Deshaun Elliott, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, again, this is an underrated defense only because Watt wasn't healthy all year. They were kind of banged up. And that was just kind of their... And they also have Cam Sutton, who I guess is suspended. But they just weren't ever really healthy. But that's a top 10 defense if currently constructed, especially with Patrick Queen on that linebacking core, because they needed help there. So that'll help them out big time. Because he can be a leader. He can lead the defense. Because that's what he did when he was on the Ravens. But again, you got Najee Harris at running back. You got George Pickens. You got Roman Wilson, who was formerly of the Michigan Wolverines. A guy that, again, he's a shifty guy, not a guy that is going to be like a route runner type deal, but he's a guy that can go up and down the field. He's got enough speed to do that. So they've got some guys. But as far as for this game here, Sunday night, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Cowboys. I want to pick the Steelers so bad just because I hate the Cowboys. But I can't. I mean, there's no stability. Now, again, after preseason comes and we redo this, I may feel differently because I'll know who the starter is permanently. But I think the Cowboys might have one or two more weapons. They're tight end, even though Freiermuth is pretty good for the Steelers, but I think they might have one or two more weapons. And of course, I don't care what anybody says, Dak at this current juncture is a better quarterback than either Wilson or Fields. So
I agree.
I think this is a 27-24 game. I'll give it to the Cowboys. So right now, let's see, we are 5 games in, and I have them at I got them at 3-2 right now. These next 4 games, I mean, again, this schedule it's a pretty tough schedule, but again, another 3:00 game. Notice out of their first 9 games, the first half of their season, they have 2 12:00 games. So they are going to be the center of attention. I mean, they usually are anyway, but prime time wise, they're going to be the center of attention for the first half of this season. Next, we go 3:25, Lions at Cowboys. The last time the Lions came into Dallas, they got robbed. They should have won that game. The Lions, to me, are a team that can get the Super Bowl. Again, they should have beaten the Niners. They let that game get away. I believe the Lions this time will come back in here ready to go. Pretty much same pieces. I believe they will win this game like a 20-17 type game. Last second field goal on the road. I think they come back and get revenge. Again, same pieces. They're motivated. They finally seem like they have continuity. Their coaching staff, ownership. And there's going to be a lot of Lions fans in that Cowboys stadium. Because last year they traveled really well.
They travel pretty good every year.
I expect them I expect this to feel almost like a neutral site game. And they're not scared of going in there. We know that defense of the Cowboys is good, no question. I believe the Lions defense is okay. They can still give up some points, but I just believe in Jared Goff a tad bit more than Dak at this juncture. So I'm taking the Lions in that game. Again, another close game. I figure most of these games, other than that Ravens game, will be close to this point. But yeah, I have the Lions winning that game.
We lose a close one only because we're overlooking them
To get back at that particular team that we can't seem to beat, whether it's regular or postseason. So at the end of the day, we lose a close one. Golf is nothing to sneeze at. Clearly, his man almost ended up in the Super Bowl. But, I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl before. I think the Rams prematurely got him out of there. They didn't show any kind of signs of loyalty. To go to Detroit and get them to an NFC Championship game, just, that speaks volumes because, and their defense is nothing to sneeze at as well. But the Lions always had an identity with struggling to put points on the board. That's why not too long ago it was like 1-16, 2 in this, 0 in that. You go from that, and you mean to tell me overnight you come within a touchdown from going to the Super Bowl? That has a lot to do with Jared Goff. He is now turning into a seasoned vet. He's tall. He could see over the line of scrimmage. He could look at everything that's moving on and across and up and down the field. He could present some serious problems in that game. So yeah, give the Lions a close one, very close one. Only because we know what is in store the following week.
And with that, we get to this game. And really, at this point, I have the Cowboys at 3-3, which I don't think would surprise anybody, really. I think most people would have that. But this is where it's about to get dark for me. This game, again, I get it. Business, ratings, all this good stuff. This should almost be a 3 o'clock or a 12 o'clock game. Well, they probably can't play at 12, but a 3 o'clock game. Because I really do think this is going to be another beating. When you do the same thing over and over again, expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. Again, the Cowboys haven't got better to me. This is the same team. Both these teams are pretty much. So I don't see any reason why. And it's on the road. They cannot go to San Francisco and beat them. They just can't. And there's some things in life you just can't do. Nothing wrong with that. For Cowboys fans it is, but for me, this is a 45-17 type game.
Oh my goodness.
It starts out probably like 7-7 in the first quarter, and people are thinking, ooh. And then Dak throws a pick six or something. And then it just gets ugly. I mean, they got too many weapons. And defensively, again, if it's not CeeDee Lamb, somebody else has to show me something before this game occurs. And they're not going to be able to run the football. And they can't stop the run.
I would hope that somebody has
Jesus.
stepped up by the time that game arrives. It can't be CD. I hope somebody else on that offense really steps up a week or two heading into that game so where they can have some type of continuity, some type of something that makes me feel a little easy. I don't feel easy going into that game if it's just going to be all about, well, we got to get CeeDee Lamb the ball, CeeDee Lamb's got to get open, yada, yada, yada. You got to have more than that to beat these people. One thing I know for sure you have to do in order to be successful against the 49ers, and that goes for any team that plays, not just my Cowboys. You have to run the football. You can't, if you're not successful on the ground against that team, it's going to be a very, very, very long Sunday night. So, yeah, I mean, and let's face it, we're not the only team, Dak's not the only quarterback that's like 0-3 or whatever, 0-4 against these people. Last I checked, Aaron Rodgers is like 0-3 against them in the postseason alone. Not even the regular season. Rodgers has yet to beat these people in any shape, form, or fashion, and that's Aaron freaking Rodgers. Now, last I checked, he's 10 times better than Dak Prescott. But I'm just saying.
Of course. But let's not get it messed up here. I think people, a lot of times when we talk about these games, because this is not a rivalry, I don't care what anybody says.
No, rivalry is when you at least have one or two wins.
It might have been had it not been for last year, but I think we have kind of revisionist history if we don't remember. We're talking about the last 3 games, which has happened. Is it the last 3 games?
Yeah.
The last 3 games in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to 22, and we talk about a game that was in the postseason. I believe it was the divisional round in Dallas. A game where it literally came down to them not being able to get down the field, spike the ball, which would have gave them a last-second chance to, based on where they were on the field, to make something happen. But the point is, it was a good game. It was a close game, and they played well. I mean, they couldn't get it done in the end. And then you fast forward to when they got, again, another close game, playoff game, chance for them to get to. That was when they beat the Bucks and pretty much retired Tom Brady. Which is funny that they retire him and then he's going to be their first game of the year. But again, another close game, very defensive. Kittle makes a wild one-handed catch, and that pretty much gives them that game. It's only that happened last year that they got ran over, where this kind of got really lopsided, because yes, the Niners have beaten them all 3 times, but those first 2 games were close defensive games where you're talking about one play, 1 or 2 plays, a penalty here, a penalty there, and those games could be lopsided easily. We could be having a whole nother different conversation. It's only that last year when they got stomped into the ground that it was just like, okay, whoa.
All right.
That was a whole, when they just
Yeah,
took
you
their
got it.
cleats and just
That's,
pushed their helmets further into the grass.
That's nice. Move on to the next game,
I
please.
mean,
You got it.
when you just take somebody's helmet off and just slap them around and there's nothing you can do.
Major point.
When you bully a team. But anyway, so that's really what it was. And I made the mistake of picking the Cowboys to win that game last year. I did that. Out of the kindness of my heart, I did that. And boy, did they make a fool out of me. And I won't make that mistake again. 45-17. That's all we need to say.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's early. You pick might change.
That's the only game. No. That's the only game in this entire. Well, the Giants game at home, I'll probably be more certain. But this is the only game that I know for sure they're not going to win. There's nothing they can do. Unless Trey Lance comes back and they do some sort of miracle where Dak goes down, Trey Lance comes in, and what a story that would be. But no, they're not going to win the game. All right, next week. Again, they hate the NFC South because those are the only 2 12 o'clock games so far in the schedule. 12 o'clock game at the Falcons. Again.
I don't think they hate the NFC South.
Oh, they hate
don't think they know who the hell's coming out of the NFC South. Who's really coming out of the South?
That's fine, but they're playing the 2 teams first that are going to be fighting it out for this division, and that's the Falcons and the Saints, in my estimation. Now, a lot of people I believe the Falcons are favored to win the division. A lot of people have them win the division. And most of that...
Mayfield,
no. They have the Falcons are the favorite. The reason why, and I get it, is because of old Kinfolk Kirk. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback, no question about it. He's got a playoff win, coincidentally on the road at the Saints. So, which a lot of quarterbacks don't have.
And who's his weapons? Because you go
again,
from Justin Jefferson and Thielen to who?
Yeah, but again, Justin Jefferson was the main guy. Thielen was good, but he had the number 1. So you go back to what the Falcons had. They made, of course, that strange decision to sign Kirk to that big deal and then also draft Michael Penix Jr.
Which made no sense
in the first round, which, again, is puzzling, but
they could have easily had Marvin Harrison Jr.
We will see what
could have had him.
We will see what that ends up producing, but their running back, again, Bijan Robinson coming back for year 2. He had a great first year.
Bijan in London, that I know for a fact, was solid.
Bijan Robinson, man, he is going to be a staple. So you got a stable quarterback in Kirk Cousins. You've got a great running back in Bijan. You got Drake London at receiver. You got Rondale Moore from who was formerly with the Cardinals, another speedy, short guy, shifty guy. Mm-hmm. And then you got Mooney from the Bears, who was really good last year with the Bears. So they've got a pretty good, a pretty solid. And then you got Kyle Pitts, who's coming back again for his next year, who was great as well. So they've got a pretty solid offensive weaponry. So that's part of the reason why. I mean, their defense.
Understand something. Kirk is suspect, man. He's been there. He's
I wouldn't say he's suspect. That he's a good franchise quarterback. Can he lead you to the promised land? We haven't seen it yet.
All right, so
but we know he can. He can get you to the playoffs. He can when everybody's clicking. Can make plays.
Yeah, he can get you to the playoffs. Yeah. You're making the same case.
The problem. Well, the difference is the Falcons' defense is terrible.
Horrible.
So
can't stop nobody.
But again,
Keep
this
that in
is the
mind.
Cowboys, and it is on the road. This will be a week after they got slapped upside the head.
Michael might have fun with this dude.
Well, listen. After they done got there's only two things can happen after you got punked. The way they're gonna get punked in Santa Clara.
Yeah, there's a very good chance for you coming in there pissed off, man.
Of course, you come in there, but
You gotta bounce back against the Falcons.
and the Cowboys have a good record against Kirk. So, but you have to also say there's one thing about Kirk.
There's a lot of butts.
In prime time, he's not the greatest. But when it comes to them 12 o'clock games,
Yeah, the
especially
games
at
that-
home, this is where he throws for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. So if I'm the Cowboys right now, this is a push and pull game because you got what I just said about Kirk.
Oh, cut the crap. Who you got?
Well, again, it's a push and pull thing.
All right, it was a push and pull thing with the Saints and
12
Cowboys.
o'clock.
Who you got?
No, because there's two big occurrences here. You got Kirk, who plays well in these settings, and then you have the Cowboys, who would just be coming off a beating. So,
And you really
I
don't
shake
know
play.
that. You
No,
keep
we
in
know.
mind you're coming
We
off
know.
of predictions.
I just told
Okay?
you, 45-17.
Okay.
Book it.
I
Book
sure
it.
will. I'm gonna book that.
If I'm wrong, I'll jump in this lake across the street of it.
Can't wait.
Uh,
Hold you to that.
this will be a beating. And do they come
We're
back?
not going back to that week.
We might have to. We're going to reference that game a lot.
Well, I told you that.
This is the
because
first half of the season, so you got to.
understand,
You got to.
Between two teams, the Lions, we could overlook the Lions slightly
Right.
to get ready for
So you
these
lose
people.
that. You lose 2 in a row.
No.
And then
I'm
you
not
go on
gonna
the
say
road
we lose
yet
two.
again to face a Falcons team with a 12 o'clock Kirk, who's probably one of the best quarterbacks in history at 12 o'clock at home. So,
There's a flip side to that coin.
like I just
We
said,
could lose by over,
you
we
could
could
be
lose to the
emotional.
Lions, overlooking
Of
to
course,
the next
of
game, but
course.
we can
And- but-
upset the 49ers. Now,
but
let's
that's
say,
not going to happen. Let's be real here.
No,
Let's be realistic.
We can't be
That's the
realistic.
only team on the schedule you can't beat. The Ravens, I still have y'all getting run
Oh,
over in
stop
that
it.
game,
We
but
only-
that's a home game.
we
You're
only
not.
week 9. You telling me that's the only
You're
game
not.
you're gonna lose to?
You're not going to Santa Clara on a Sunday night game and win. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you just not.
Oh yeah, you better book that one then.
And I
I
know,
booked that.
in your heart, you believe that too.
Wear your trunks before you jump in that water.
Now,
November 3rd.
I need the Falcons to lose this game, so I'm gonna pick the Cowboys to win.
But that's it then. There's nothing else to talk
But
about.
it's not gonna be.
Doing pick'ems and
It-
the why.
Yeah, I'm giving you the why. Y'all gonna get
Why are we beating the Falcons?
kicked
Give
in.
me your overall
You will
aspect.
get. I'm about to tell you.
Go for it.
You're gonna get kicked in your cup by the 49ers in the next week. Again, you go from Sunday night to 12 o'clock next Sunday. And we don't know what the Falcons are coming off. You gotta look at their schedule.
Yeah,
They
you
might
have
get
no idea what their record could look like by the time
they might get ran over. I don't know. But what's gonna happen here is the Cowboys are gonna win, and I think they will win somewhere along the lines of a 31-14. Like, I don't think it'll be close. I think they'll start off close, and like you said, they're gonna try to get that taste out of their mouth. So I do believe they'll win that game. So we're about halfway through the season. I've got them at 4-4.
Oh wow.
You know, I mean,
Week 10.
they'll be probably third place in the division at this point.
Jalen and the boys. Jalen and Barkley.
And then America's game of the week.
Yeah.
The very next, I mean, it doesn't get any easier for the girls.
Not at all.
Um,
Stop it.
I
No slander in our name, son.
again, you got Saquon, you got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. What else do you want? I mean, this is almost. I want to pick the Cowboys to win this game because it's at home, and it is a rivalry game. I don't think the Eagles will beat them twice, so I will pick the Cowboys to win this game at home. 34-31 overtime, I believe. They get a last second. They get a field goal in overtime to win. Like I said, I think this rivalry is one of the better rivalries in the NFL. So unless I just think the Eagles are just much more dominant, I would never say they're going to beat them twice. They could. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think the Cowboys will get on a nice little winning streak here. Get a little 2-game winning streak going. And halfway through, they'll be at 5-4. This will get some momentum going back. to where I think they'll be satisfied at. All right. And then after that, you go Monday Night Football. First Monday Night Football game of the year for this team.
You didn't give me your Eagles pick, man.
Yeah, I did. I said I had the Cowboys winning.
Good job.
2-game winning streak.
My goodness.
I think
Let me tell you something.
these two teams will go 1-1. I don't think that's just they're too good.
Yeah, no, they're gonna. I'm not gonna.
But at this point,
not doing
being is it that I have them at 4-4 before that game. I think the Eagles will break that schedule down at some point for them, but just I'd probably have them at maybe a 6-2 or 7-1 at this rate. At this rate, so they'll be coming in. I believe they'll be in first place at this juncture before that game. No, but it's important because we're breaking this schedule down. We're seeing where things are developing.
Right.
Well, based on what I have.
So you also got to see who the Eagles
4
are
and 4,
playing.
right?
As well.
And we'll get to that. But I'm just taking a guess.
Whatever.
I have them at 4-4 before the Eagles game.
Right.
It's possible the Eagles could be a 6-2 or 7-1 because I would have them at first place at this point.
Got to look at who they.
The Cowboys would win. Eagles will still be in first place. Now we move to Monday night.
Very scary game.
Home game against the Texans. I believe the last time the Texans came down there, they nearly won that game, and that was when they were terrible. But I believe it was a pick six or something that they threw that gave the Cowboys the win. So they nearly lost that game 2 years ago. But
CJ Stroud is he's dangerous.
What the Texans have done in 1 year, what their coach has done, man.
He's dangerous.
Wow, he's going to be the next great coach, I believe. I believe
and he has the quarterback to get him to that.
He has the quarterback. That defense he's building behind Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama is really nasty. They're only going to get better, more experience. You got Derek Stingley Jr., of course, another LSU alum.
Who's got to show something? I got to see his. I got to hear his name more. He's good.
You don't hear his name, that's good.
Well, I mean,
because that means that nobody's calling his way, and there's a reason for that.
Of course.
We
know what he did in Tiger Stadium.
So
we know that.
Again,
he never sneezed at it all.
This Texans team, a lot of people are higher on them this year, kind of like they were high on the Eagles when they made that run to the Super Bowl.
Based off of what he did last season. So
right, but also much like the Eagles when they made that Super Bowl run the year before, what happened with a young Jalen Hurts in his, I believe that was his second year. They came in, made it to the playoffs, lost in the first round, and they came back. They got better. Texans, what happened last year? First year, they made it to the second round. They won their they beat the hell out the Browns, that wild card playoff game. And then they went to I believe Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken, and they just weren't better than Baltimore. Baltimore just kind of, it was a good game, but Baltimore was just better. And that was the second time they played them that year. So, again, I kind of see the similarities in those two teams. This is a team that I would not be surprised at all if they're in the Super Bowl this year. Because I think they're going to be that good. Defensively, they will be stronger. Offensively, they added more pieces. You got Stephon Diggs from the Bills. I mean, what a grab.
Yeah, if you're smart, that scares you.
I mean, the arsenal of weapons they have on offense.
If you're smart, that scares you.
I mean, you have to realize that what this team has done.
Who's toting the rock?
In the moves they've made have been done. But again, you got Stroud, you've got Joe Mixon as the feature back, you got Dameon Pierce who's the second back, which is wild.
Right.
You got Diggs, you got Nico Collins, Tank Dell, you got John Mechie, Noah Brown at receiver, you got Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys in his second year there.
Ooh, pissed me off when he got ready.
I mean, they have an arsenal of weapons on offense. Man, this is going to be a really good game.
That one's going to be entertaining, man.
Monday night.
Battle of the Texas teams.
I like the Texans 31-28. I wouldn't be surprised this is a high-scoring game. I think the Cowboys get back to 5-5 here. I like the Texans. I don't care what this game is. To me, it's a neutral site game almost.
Well, I mean,
both Texas teams,
because they're in the state of Texas.
So I think this is a game.
If it was in Reliance Stadium, it'd be a neutral site. One's in Dallas, one's in Houston.
This game for the Texans will be one of those. I don't know what their record's going to be. Like I said, we can look in their schedule at a later date. This will be, mark my words, this will probably be one of those games where they're at a, maybe 1 or 2 losses, and people are trying to figure out, are they for real? But you've got to go to Dallas on Monday night. Everybody's watching, and you've got to go on the road and beat a team that I think most people probably have them being good. I mean, I kind of have them average based on the record, but they've got to go on the road and win this type of game if they want to be taken seriously. I think they will do it very close. I got the Texans. So Cowboys got a little 2-game winning streak. I think the Texans go in there and beat them. So I have the Cowboys at 5-5 at this juncture. They go on the road at the Commanders. This was 2 years ago. I wouldn't really look at this game. I would just skip past it because the game they have after that is 3:30 against the Giants. Is that Thanksgiving?
I think we go on another 2-game win streak.
Is that thing? No. So the Thanksgiving game, we're going to come back to the Commanders in a second. I just want to get this Giants pick. They're going to beat the Giants again. 28-3. We don't even need to. Why are they doing this to us on Thanksgiving? Why I want to enjoy a perfectly good pecan pie and watch this crap.
They used to mix it up, man. We even played Patrick Mahomes and them on a Thanksgiving.
We don't deserve this.
One year.
We don't deserve.
I don't like that. I'm with you on that. I don't like that. Give us a key game.
Could have played the Eagles on Thanksgiving like they did.
That would have been.
Or the Texans.
Or the Texans. You could have easily switched that up.
I mean, but anyway. Give them the win, 28-3. I mean,
Nathaniel Hackett, bro.
There'll be other stuff on Thanksgiving to watch. So hopefully.
Nathaniel Hackett.
We're just gonna let that go. That'll put them at 6-5.
Wait a minute.
Now back to the Commanders.
No, wait. I gotta say something. About that Thanksgiving game. There's a possibility. Hear me out. There's a possibility that you might see my man from LSU by the time week 12 even rolls around.
Oh, Malik Neighbors is gonna be.
No, not Neighbors. You might see Daniels.
We're getting to it.
Huh?
We passed it up. We're going back to it.
Oh.
I just want to get that over with so we can.
I still think we
get to
win.
my 2 LSU boys.
I don't think it'll be that big of a.
All right, back to that. So Giants, Luke, you're gonna win that game 6-5. Now, I did this on purpose because number one, the 2 teams that we're gonna go in a row here are both Heisman Trophy winners. One of them is a national champion from the great, beautiful University of Louisiana State. So I wanted to get it back to back. So after the Texans lost, you go to Washington, which really, other than did y'all beat them last year?
We did. We swept them last year.
Yeah. So before last year, you really were on a losing streak in Washington. It was like 2-3 in a row or something like that. For some reason, it's just you guys. Other than last year, you guys don't perform well there. I mean, I remember the year before last year when they beat the.
No, look, that's a rivalry regardless.
12 o'clock game. Nobody. Might be another primetime game on at 12. Nobody's kind of,
But I'm not gonna go as far to give him the win.
Jaden Daniels, the man.
Might be starting by then.
What do you mean might be? He's not a starter. He is the starter.
No.
Can Micah or anybody stop him from moving around? I don't know. I don't think there'll be development. I don't think this is their year. I think next year will be the year for the Commanders. So I can give the Cowboys this win. I have no problem with that, coming off the Texans loss. So again, another 2-game winning streak. I got them with at least, I believe, if I have to scroll back up, but I believe I have them with at least 3 2-game winning streaks. So they're going to have some moments here. So that'll put them at 6-5 for me. I just don't think the Commanders will be ready this year. Now, again, we had this discussion before where I said, much like the Seahawks a couple years ago, people thought they were going to be picking first and end up making the playoffs.
Right.
So the Commanders, and they could still make the playoffs. Winning this game won't determine that, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger like I was before putting them above the Cowboys at this juncture. But we're going to discuss the entire NFC East at some point, so we're going to see how the schedules shake out, because at this point I have the Cowboys 6-5, so who knows. But all right, so after that, you win on Thanksgiving. We're all going to cry because we have to watch that game. And then after that, you go right to Monday Night Football. So you have a whole week and a half until that next game. And of course, it's against the Joe Burrow-led Bengals. The last time they played each other was last year in Dallas. The only game I didn't see the Cowboys play for some reason. The Bengals lost that game. It was a defensive game. Came down the last drive or something like that. If Joe Burrow's healthy, I like the Bengals to win this game. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, I don't need to go on. The problem, the only problem with this is they don't have Joe Mixon and they don't have my other guy because he went to the Broncos. So you got Texans and Broncos. So they lost both of their running backs. So that might be an issue. Their offensive line has always been an issue, but they've been able to rise above it. Obviously, they got to the Super Bowl having the worst offensive line in history. It's a home game. That'll be the just a second straight. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win only because it's at home. I know it's a Monday night game. I don't know the health of Joe Burrow. He's been plagued his entire career. It's unfortunate because he was really healthy. He was healthy for 2 years in LSU. But
he needs
he
a
has
consistent
not,
defense. I think it's the defense that puts them in real messed up situations. They don't have a problem moving the ball up the field. Joe.
Well, the problem is his health. I mean, if he's not on the field, I mean, it doesn't really matter, and he hasn't been. The only when he was on the field consistently, they got to a Super Bowl. Ever since then, he's been off the field. He hasn't been playing, and even with him not playing, they've still made it to the playoffs last year or the year before. Was it last year? It was either last year or this year when he wasn't the quarterback. It was my boy from Washington that started or started the rest of the games this year. I'm trying to figure out who they were playing. So I could have sworn they made the playoffs. What's this team? I don't know. But they did all that and still had a good season. So they've proven that they have a backup who can get it done if he does get hurt. But Jake Browning, that was his name. Jake Browning. Yeah. So they've proven they can get it done with that type of guy, but it was the Ravens, I think. If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so I got the Cowboys winning that. That'll put them at 7-5. To be quite honest with you, this may be where they get on a little run because I have them on a 3-game winning streak. I think they will beat the Panthers. 12 o'clock game. Again, they hate the NFC South. They did play the Panthers last year in Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. It was a really ugly game. They won it, but it was ugly. They'll win it again. 35-9 or something. I don't even think the Panthers will score a touchdown. Pretty simple game. That'll put him at 8-5.
Yeah, Bryce has got to show me that he's ready. I don't think he's after last season. That and in all fair and honesty, Bryce, he didn't have the best protection in the world. The man was running for his life every time the ball snapped.
And he'll be running for his life this year. Exactly. And by this point in the season, he'll be beat up, so we'll probably have somebody else in there. So I got him on a 4-game winning streak. That'll put him at 9-5. This will start to climb them back into that number 1 spot for that division. Then they go Sunday Night Football against the Bucs at home. I think they win this game. I think Baker Mayfield is going to turn back into a pumpkin. I mean, I have no faith in this guy. He had a good year last year.
I didn't either. I don't know where that season came from last season, but
it happens.
It happens.
Nick Foles, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, you have these guys who have these years.
One-hit wonder. And look, out of those 3 people you named, only one of them actually went to a Super Bowl and won it. Just not with the team. Like, I don't know, man.
So I think he got his contract. Now he goes back to Pumpkinville. And that defense is going to start. It's not as good as it was.
No, not when Brady was there.
One of their guys retired. One of them went to another team.
Gone.
So you don't have Sue. You don't have all Peppers and all these other guys that they had.
Yeah, nothing comes off the
JPP
that jumps out at you.
So that defense is going to soften up. They're always injury plagued on defense anyway, and offense for that matter.
Yes.
So I like the Bucs to go back to where they were.
Now they can put points on the board, but they ain't not gonna be able to stop anybody.
Not in this game. So give me 28-10. So this is a perfect Cowboy Sunday Night Football game near the end of the season where they're just playing a team that's maybe 7-7 or something like that, and oh, Bucks might have a chance. No, and they run them over. So this is one of those types of games. They did it to the Colts before. They did it to the Commanders.
To 9-7.
So I got him at 10-5. I got him on a 5-game winning streak nearing the end of the season. That's where you want to be hot. That's where you want to be playing your best ball. And they will have been doing. I will have them doing that near the end of the season because I think the schedule kind of lines up that way. So to give them 10-5 on a hot streak, 5-game winning streak, then you go to Eagles, America's game of the week again. I don't have them win that game. Close game, 31-28 type deal. To put them at 10-6, and then this game, the last game of the season, is another 12 o'clock game.
Jaden might catch
4 of the
fire,
last 6
man.
games are at home. I had them on a 5-game winning streak. This depends really on who's playing, what they're playing for. At 10-5, I think the Eagles again will have to break down that record, but I think they might have a 3 or 4 loss game or season, just based on, like I said, them getting better. So I think the Eagles might have the division by this point, last game of the season, where they might just not play that last week.
Yeah.
So for the Cowboys, they're going to have to play this game because if they're not going to win the division, this again, we're going to break down this whole division. But this game could be for a spot in the playoffs because there's 3 spots, but I don't think there's going to be 3 teams getting into from the East like it was the other year. So the Commanders and Cowboys game, this could be for that 7th spot because 10-5 could maybe get you a 5 or 6, or 10-6. I mean, but it's a home game at home. If they're playing for something, I believe the Cowboys again will win at home early game to get them to 11-6. I would love to see the Commanders, of course, win the game, but I just
realistically,
if it comes down to the Cowboys needing to win this game to get in,
They're gonna win
I would have them winning just because it's at home.
against that team.
But again, this could be, like I said, once we break down those other schedules, the Commanders could be fighting for a spot where they desperately need to win this game to get in. So, like I said, this is just our first predictions for this team. We will have probably another one after the preseason games, before we get to week 1, see if we feel differently. But I have the Cowboys at 11-6. I have them sweeping the Commanders, tying with the Eagles, and sweeping the Giants. So that would put them at 5-1 on the division. And, like I said, I think the Eagles will have a better record overall, so they'll win the division. But I think 11-6 is good enough to probably get them maybe the 6th spot, which means they would end up facing whoever the 3 seed is, which they better hope it's not the 49ers again. Because when you get bullied that much in life, it's hard to come back. Counseling doesn't really do much. So, that's our schedule review for the Dallas Cowboys, the pre-draft to our final predictions. Being a professional Cowboys hater takes a lot of work. But, I have them at 11-6, which a couple months ago I said they would make the playoffs, but looking at the schedule, thinking about everything, being rational, 11-6 is way good enough with 7 spots to get into the playoffs at a 6 seed. And then you got to go back to tiebreakers and things of that nature. I mean, on the NFC side, those last 6 games, there's not really a team on that they would have to break a tie with. So they probably won't have any of those, or maybe the Bucks or somebody. But that's a wrap for the Cowboys schedule pre-predictions. We will come back. Like I said, we will watch the preseason games. There's only 3 of them. Probably that week 1 or before week 1, we will sit down and go over the schedule one more time, and we will predict the entire NFL schedule. We will have our playoff teams. We will predict the playoffs and the Super Bowl and all that good stuff, and mark down our final predictions.
Sounds good.
But that'll do it for our first podcast of Pop and Son. I don't have a name yet. Still working on it. but we'll workshop that.